Hello, and welcome to Virtual Investor Conferences. On behalf of OTC Markets, we're very pleased you joined us for our next presentation for Medinotec, a specialized medtech company focused on airway and cardiovascular devices. Please note you can submit questions in the box to the left of the slides. You can also view their availability for one-on-one meetings through the Schedule Meetings tab found in the conference platform. At this point, I'm very pleased to welcome our next presenter. He is Stavros Veraginakis. He's the chairman of Medinotec Inc., which trades on the OTCQX Best Market under the symbol MDNC. Welcome, Stavros.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to everybody, and thank you for taking the interest to join us today for our investor presentation. Before we get started, I just wanted everybody to take a moment to take a look at our cautionary statement regarding some of our forward-looking statements. I think this is pretty standard, so if everybody could take a look at your leisure, that would be good, as well as some of our disclosure statements and disclaimer. As we'll be making certain remarks in the presentation today. So as we get started, I thought it would be a good kickoff to talk a little bit about the leadership team, because I think leadership is really critical in any organization. And we have a good team that has been around. So starting with myself, I'm the chairman of Medinotec. I was also the co-founder along with my brother. I'm also the chairman of Extant Medical, an NYSE listed company. I was the prior CEO of Misonics, which was a NASDAQ listed company, which we sold about 2 years ago. Prior to that, I was with Ascendus Medical as a CEO, Tyco Healthcare in various roles, including the general manager and US Surgical. So all in all, I have about 30 years experience in the medtech arena. And this is a pretty exciting venture that we've got over here today that we're going to share with you folks. Also with me on the presentation, but not speaking, but I'm sure you will get to meet the gentleman on the one-on-ones, is our CFO, Mr. Peter van Niekerk. Peter is a qualified chartered accountant and the company's CFO. Peter has been involved in numerous listings, public companies, both in South Africa and also in the US. He's a very accomplished executive with more than 10 years experience in executive management. He was also listed as one of the top 35, under 35 chartered accountants in South Africa for 2 consecutive years. And Peter has been with us in the organization for the last 5 years in both Minoan Medical and also Medinotec, steering the ship and helping us on the finance side of the business. Also with us, not with us on the physical call, because we are literally in 3 different continents today, the US, Europe, and South Africa, is my brother, our CEO, Dr. Greg Vizerianakis. Greg is actually a qualified medical doctor, and he has a special interest in the field of neuroscience. He has many years of experience in both the medical fraternity as well as the healthcare markets. He was the founding member of Medinotec, and he's been involved in numerous medtech startups, clinical studies, product development, and steering companies through the commercialization and even the sale process over the years. He's been the company's CEO of both Medinotec and Minoan Medical for the last 5 years, and he's a solid individual. So moving along now to our business model, I think it's really critical that everybody understand that, because there's really 2 things that we do, and I think we do exceptionally well. The one is the manufacturing and development of different medical devices, and as the gentleman that did the introduction alluded to today, at the moment we have a special interest in the area of airway management and cardiovascular devices. So we have a facility based in South Africa. This facility is a specialist design and manufacturing prototyping facility. So we're able to design, develop, and test a lot of these local devices before we actually move on into full-scale manufacturing. So this is an advantage because we believe it gives us an ability to work with a lot of KOLs and also get product to market pretty quickly, and also to take advantage of the cost base that we have in South Africa. So one of the things that you hear us talking about is the fact that we're really, really prudent with our use of capital and keeping our costs low. We have a number of years, in fact, more than 20 years of manufacturing experience in the catheter arena. So we are really used to making these fine medical devices. Also, in terms of our business model, it's important to understand our distribution business because we work on a direct basis in key markets like South Africa and the US. We're busy setting up a sales organization as we speak in the US as we look to commercialize products in the US market. It's critical that we control our own destiny, and being direct in these key markets is very, very important for us as an organization. Outside of the US, we talk OUS. It's basically, Europe, Middle East, Asia, and a little bit of South America. In these markets, we work on a kind of hybrid structure. So we have representatives and trainers and marketing people that will support distributors, provide training for their sales reps in the respective countries, as well as product support. And that is done out of South Africa on a global level. So if any of these markets become big enough, we would look at getting more directly involved in the market. But for the first couple of years, our view is that we will use distributors for these OUS markets. Moving on to some of our strategic differentiators, because I think this is critical for people to understand what makes us really different. And I think, the first thing is really our commitment to innovation. So we are not just, content on making Me Too devices. We believe that we should add additional value and be able to provide a superior outcome for the patient as well as the physician. So it's really critical to us that we use innovation in everything that we do. So whether it be innovation in training, innovation in product development, manufacturing, this is something that is really in our DNA as an organization. I spoke a little bit about our experienced senior management team. We also have a really experienced team of individuals throughout the organization in middle management, as well as on an operational level. So, one of the things that we pride ourselves on is the fact that we have a very low staff turnover. So this enables us to build up experience and tribal knowledge, which is really critical in the manufacture of the devices that we're in. We have an extensive geographical footprint, having a group that's been involved in international business for the last 30 years. We have contacts all over the world, literally from South America, Asia, around to Australia and the US. So as we look to expand our business, we have a good understanding of these markets, how the healthcare systems function from a reimbursement and regulatory perspective. And this gives us a real opportunity to build a global organization. As I alluded to on the earlier slide, one of the things that I think differentiates us as a business is the low-cost operating structure. I think everybody's been aware that South Africa, from a cost perspective, is really competitive labor costs with markets like China. And I'd say we're able to produce high-quality product at a cost that people would quite frankly be surprised at. Things like operating costs like rental and salaries are also on a global level, more on the lower end of the scale. So I think this is really beneficial when we look to manufacture. Think of it in a low cost base and to export to higher price markets where we can, get the significant margin pickup. Another thing that is critical in our business, and that goes back to, being in the business for a really long time, not only myself, but the rest of the team, are the strong relationships that we have with customers. So our end customers are really the physicians, but the physicians also are reliant on the distributors. So we have long established relationships with distributors and key opinion leaders, and we regularly engage with these people. So one of the things, as I said, at the core of our DNA is this commitment to innovation, and it really wouldn't be possible if we didn't have those relationships with the customers. So that's something that we really pride ourselves on. We also have extensive knowledge of setting up distribution channels, and I think that's really critical when you launch new technology like I will show you we have in our bag today. Because if you're unable to get these products to market in an efficient and cost-effective way, it really doesn't matter what you produce if it's not going to get into physicians' hands and be used on patients. it really ends up being a lost device. So I think this knowledge of distribution has really served us well. We have, a lot of experience on global distribution channels, and I think this is something which really differentiates us from other small companies. What is also critical to the business, I think we've identified areas where there are sustainable margins. So, you'll see when we present margins that we have good margins. We also believe that going into the future, they're sustainable because we believe that we drive and deliver value. And our value is appreciated in the system. So we're not in segments that, would be commoditized very easily and result in price erosion. So those are some of the strategic differentiators. What I wanted to now do is take a little bit of an opportunity to pivot and tell you about one of our products called the Traculator, which really came about due to our extensive experience in the interventional catheter arena making cardiovascular devices. So with that knowledge, we were actually able to design a game-changing technology for treating tracheal stenosis. So in very, very basic layman terms, tracheal stenosis is where you have a narrowing of the trachea. So think of your throat as narrowing, and this could be caused by a number of reasons. It could be, as a result of disease. We also saw a marked increase in the incidence of tracheal stenosis during COVID, and there was actually a need to develop a product that could effectively treat tracheal stenosis but not occlude the airway. So if you have a look at the diagram that we're showing on the far left of the screen is the actual catheter, the balloon catheter, but in the middle you'll see a whole cluster of these little balloons and essentially a hollow kind of inner lumen over there. And that hollow lumen allows us to do a couple of things. So the one thing is when we inflate the balloons, we can actually stretch the trachea or dilate the trachea, but actually keep the inner path open so that these patients can breathe or that you can ventilate them. And we are really the only ones in the world that can do this with our technology. So think of everybody else's technology as just having one single balloon that when you blow it up essentially dilates the trachea but also occludes the airway. So we're able to do something that surgeons have only imagined in past years, and this is really a world first for treating tracheal stenosis with a non-occlusive balloon system over there. So this really sets us apart, and we're very, very proud to have been the gold winner of the Medical Design Excellence Awards in 2021. And if you look back at some of the competitors in that segment, we had companies like Intuitive Surgical with their robotic design. So I think that people really appreciated the innovation and the game-changing technology that we came to market with the Traculator product. So as we look to commercialize Traculator, because if we look at our product pipeline status, Traculator right now is one of our key focus products, and you'll see we really look at product pipeline status as really 7 distinct areas where we classify the product. So the first part of the status is really developing the R&D, so that would be status position number 1. Then we'd look at, once we've validated the product, getting it into production, and then getting the various regulatory clearances like the CE mark. This would be CE mark, Therapeutics Good Association approval in Australia, everything basically but FDA, because FDA is still, has the highest sort of clearance level. We wait until we've really, perfected everything till we apply for FDA approval. We then start supplying local markets, in this case South Africa, so we can actually validate that the product works and it does everything that we think it would do. And then after that, develop international sales. So these are the OUS countries that we start exporting to, normally Europe and the Middle East first, so that we can further gain additional information, insight, get published clinicals on our products, and then lastly look to get the product FDA approved, and then finally commercialization in the US. So just on the right hand side, what I've done here is put together a product status bar, so you can have a look at a Traculator with the furthest down the road here. We're actually a little further than the graph actually even shows, because we're in early stages of US commercialization. So we are validating the product in the US at certain key academic and training centers. We've been to 2 conferences, national conferences for ENT and pulmonology, so that we can engage with local surgeons. The enthusiasm has been sort of off the charts. So we want to see that, we have the market ironed out in terms of how we present to the various VAC committees in the hospital systems. We want to see that we have our ducks in a row in terms of pricing, invoicing, and distribution. So, Traculator will be the first product that we introduce. And then as we go down the list, some of the interventional cardiology products you'll see, like the Cape Cross, the PTCA, the non-compliant, the semi-compliant catheters, our suction devices. We're also busy with an aortic balloon project, as well as a tracheal stent. So you can see we're really busy on the R&D side and product development side with a number of these different products. On the next slide, I thought we'd take this opportunity to show you a couple of pictures just of the products over here. As you can see, these are just some of the PTCA interventional balloon products over there, with the Cape Cross, the non-compliant and the semi-compliant, as well as the aspiration catheter. So you can see really we have the ability and the knowledge and the know-how to produce these state-of-the-art medical devices that take a lot of fine work to actually produce. And, you need a robust quality system as well. So we're really proud of that. And in the coming months, we'll share with investors some of the additional products as they start coming through. Talking a little bit about our growth strategies within the company, there's really 4 pillars of growth are in place. And that's to really ensure sustainability and shareholder returns. As significant shareholders ourselves in this business, it's all about having our interests aligned with those of our shareholders and building long-term value. So you will see that over time there will be some acquisitive growth by purchasing complementary businesses, obtaining IP, or even expanding into the agency arena over here to basically complete product range. On the synergistic growth side, within the value chain, vertical and bolt-ons, horizontal. On the international side, as I've said, we're already in a number of international markets. We continue to expand because we believe that all patients should have access to our technology, because they really are game-changing, not only for the physicians but for the patients, and that they provide better outcomes. So we're looking to by just organic growth, finding more distributors, building the product line out, and looking for acquisitions as well to support diversification. We believe that there's a significant opportunity in the international market, both in the US and outside the US as well. So, organic growth, we've got really strong distribution business over here. And as you've seen, a strong pipeline of manufactured products over here. These are resilient products. And we believe that we have a very good opportunity to continue to grow organically and also continue to innovate and make changes, as we see in the marketplace today. Lastly, I wanted to leave you with a couple of considerations from a financial standpoint that really, supports our business strategy, so that everybody understands, why we think we are differentiated and we have a good long-term business. Firstly, we have very good margins. Our gross margins on the manufactured product exceed 85%. In some instances, even higher than 85%. But I think that's an example of, using innovation, creating products which are differentiated and can command a premium price in the marketplace. So we don't think that that's going to change. And we aim to be, in that range of having 85% plus margins on the manufactured product. On the distributed products, a little bit more difficult to get those margins, because you're obviously, acting as a third-party reseller. And in those instances, we're able to maintain a margin which exceeds 50%. So we're able to, support the sales force, be able to support, all the additional departments that are needed in order to bring these products to market successfully. Also, from an expense perspective, most of our expenses in the organization, apart from direct expenses, labor costs in the US and rental and logistics charges, are essentially billed in South African rand. So for those of you that have followed the currency, the South African rand has devalued and continues to devalue against hard currencies like the US dollar and the euro. And that is actually beneficial in our business where we have a big focus on export. So the idea is always, let's, build in rands, have the majority of our costs in rands, but be able to recognize, sales in dollars or euros or other hard currencies. You will also see, as I alluded to in the presentation, that because we're significant shareholders in the business and we believe in having interests aligned with those of shareholders, we have a remarkably low cash burn rate. So when you compare us to any peer companies out there, any small startups, you'll see these companies tend to burn an inordinate amount of cash. We're very, very prudent with managing our expenses, and we have a path to profitability pretty quickly. And we look to fund a lot of the growth in the business organically, just through growing our revenue within the business. Also, very impressive, we completed our capital raise before going public in excess of $3 million with a group of local investors that have been very, very supportive. And as we look to take Medinotec to the rest of the world, we're really excited to have you folks consider investing in our organization for the long term, because we believe that there is going to be significant value that we create, and you can really be part of a company that is not only out there to make money, but we're also out there to help patients and improve outcomes around the world. So that's going to be all from me today. What we've also set up is the ability for you folks to reach out directly to us to set up some one-on-one meetings with myself, the CEO, and the CFO. Or certain members of us. So I would urge you to reach out directly to our CFO, Peter van Niekerk. His number and email is on there. For investor relations, you can contact Vanessa Reck or Deborah Chapman. But as far as this meeting is concerned, I would just urge you to reach out to Peter. We'd be happy to answer additional questions and tell you more about our story. But we're excited about what we're doing today, and we thank you for taking the time out to listen to us. So thank you.